bring the zoning board of appeals meeting to order. Can we start with a roll call?
Alberto Paratori.
Aziz Hassan.
Norma Drummond.
Rocco Lumatone.
Art Mahoney.
Thank you. Can I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, just two quick announcements. Number one, just to acknowledge our town attorney is on screen. He's available if we have a comment. He just is not feeling well, but he's well enough to attend the meeting by Zoom, but he didn't want to get anybody else ill, so we appreciate that. And then the second, it is still February, next month being March. The possibility still exists for snow, so in the event that anybody has their public hearing tonight extended to next month, we just ask that you update your sign to reflect, if in the event of snow in March, there's no postponement of that meeting. That meeting would just be canceled, and anything on that agenda would just get pushed on to the next meeting, which would be April. So that was when we would ask that you update your sign to reflect the April meeting date. We have two meetings. Our next meeting should be March 25th, Tuesday, March 25th, and then the meeting after that would be April 22nd. We do not have minutes for this meeting to approve. They still will approve them next month. So the way that our meeting is going to operate tonight, because all we have on our agenda are 4 public hearings. So these are applications that this board has already had an opportunity to review, but now we just want to hear if there's any concerns we should be aware of from neighbors. So I'll go through each one, and at the appropriate time, any neighbors that want to speak will be welcome to. So let's start. Item number 1 is Appeal 4127, Anuj Singh and Curtis Blaylock, 5 Old Grange Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a variance for a proposed 24 by 26 or 624 square foot detached garage in the front yard pursuant to section 194-107 and the schedule of bulk regulations. The footprint of the existing house is 1,731 square feet. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Freeman, come on up. So 5 Old Grange Road, they're proposing a garage. This is a property right near Rainbow Pools. Rainbow Pools is essentially their neighbor. Just when we first came in, the way we noticed where the garage was, given the front line of the house, it is in fact in the front yard. When we reviewed it, really the whole back of the property is wetlands, so there really is no other place to put this. This is the part of the property that makes sense, and I believe you told us the house does not have a garage currently.
No, it does not.
Yeah, so, so by that, a 24 by 26 garage is pretty much a standard size 2-car garage. So anything else or any questions from board members?
For the record, I did a site visit, and on one side we have Rainbow Pools, and the other side is a cemetery.
Yeah. Quiet neighbors.
It's a very quiet neighborhood, and there's a wetland. So for the record, I don't see an issue.
Yeah, I did a site visit as well, and I don't have an issue with it.
All right, so is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Anuj Singh and Curtis Blaylock at 5 Old Grange Road, Hopewell, requesting a variance for a proposed 24-foot by 26-foot detached garage in the front yard? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is appeal number 4127. Applicant is Anuj Singh and Curtis Blaylock, requesting a front yard variance from the requirements of section 194-107 of the town code and the schedule of bulk regulations for a proposed 24 feet by 26 feet, 624 square foot detached garage. A resolution offered by zoning board member Aziz Hassan, whereas the applicant selected the location of the detached garage due to wetlands being located in the other areas of the property. Whereas the detached garage will contain attic space for storage, but it will not be used for residential purposes. And whereas the footprint of the existing house is 1,731 square feet and no size variance is needed. And whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA and no further review is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 19th, 2025. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 25th, 2025, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the community since the garage will be screened by trees and the neighbors consist of a commercial business with a church and a church with a cemetery. The desired result cannot be achieved by any other means due to the existing wetland on the property. The variances are not substantial. The variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Anuj Singh and Curtis Blalock for the front yard variance from the requirements of Section 194-107 of the Town Code and the schedule of bulk regulations for a proposed 24 feet by 26 feet, 624 square foot detached garage. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Alberto.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries. Now you'll just deal with the building department. Okay? Good evening. Item number 2, Appeal 4129, Wayne and Colleen Carabinos, 14 Pleasant Hill Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 76 square foot size variance for a proposed 28 foot by 30 foot or 840 square foot detached garage and a 1 foot rear yard variance for an existing shed pursuant to the Section 194-107 and the Schedule of Bulk Regulations. Footprint of the existing house is 1,274 square feet. I have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good evening. So we did have the opportunity to review your application last month. 76 feet is the size. You're allowed up to 60% of your footprint of your existing house or 750 square feet. So what you've asked for is just a little bit larger than that. And what you've explained is that there's multiple trailers on the property. You've got 3 sheds on your property. So there's multiple things that really you'd like to be able to put in one place to protect them, keep them out of the weather, et cetera. In reviewing your site plan and the survey, we noticed that one of your sheds has an overhang that puts it 1 foot closer to the sideline than it should. So while we're here, we're just going to clear that up. Any comments or questions from board members?
No, I'm good.
None.
No, I have no comment.
No comment.
So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Wayne and Colleen Carabinos, 14 Pleasant Hill Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 76 square foot size variance for a proposed 28 foot by 30 foot detached garage and a 1 foot rear yard variance for an existing shed? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You got too quick for me. All right, so resolution.
Appeal number 4129, applicant Wayne and Colleen Carabinos. The project is a 76 square foot size variance from the requirements of Section 194-107 of the Town Code for a proposed 28 by 30 foot, 840 square foot attached garage and a 1 foot rear yard variance from the requirements of Section 194-107 and the Schedule of Bulk Regulations for an existing shed, collectively the variances. Resolution offered by Alberto Paratori. Whereas the applicant is proposing a 28 by 30, 840 square foot one-story detached garage, and whereas the footprint of the house is 1,274 square feet, so the maximum size of the detached garage without obtaining a size variance would be 764 square feet, and whereas the applicant will consolidate many existing items at the property into the proposed detached garage, and whereas there is an existing shed with an overhang requiring a minor rear yard variance of 1 foot, and whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA and no further review is required, and whereas the legal notice was published on Southern Dutchess News on February 19, 2025, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 25, 2025, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variances will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the community, since the garage will result in fewer items on the property and the shed is already existing. The desired result could be achieved by other means, but variances are minor. The variances are not substantial. The variances will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Wayne and Colleen Carabinos for the 76 square feet size variance from the requirements of Section 194-107 of the Town Code for a proposed 28 by 30, 840 square feet detached garage and a 1-foot rear yard variance from the requirements of Section 194-107 and the schedule of bulk regulations for the existing shed. Excuse me. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
And votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Alberto.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries. You're all set. Now you just deal with the building department.
Thank you.
Okay? Have a good evening. All right, item number 3, Appeal 4130, Cormark Hopewell LLC, 793 Route 82, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 7% lot coverage variance, a total signage variance of 42.3 square feet, a variance for an additional wall sign, a 42.3 square foot variance for total wall signage, a 2-foot variance for wall sign height, a variance for 2 additional freestanding signs, and 24-foot variance from the front yard landscaping requirement, and a 10-foot variance for the side yard landscaping requirement pursuant to Section 194-116 and Chapter 153. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, again, we had the opportunity to review this application last month, I actually took the time to walk by there and do an additional site visit, and since we last met, this is the old William Tell property. There is actually the landscape buffer there now, in the front of the property there. I don't know that it's the full 24 feet, but there's definitely a landscape buffer there now. Hold on. And the 2 immediate properties to its right, if you're facing it, both have landscape buffers. But from there on, there's no landscape buffers until you get down to the banks further down with the stone wall. So it is in keeping with what's there. There's definitely been, the lack of the landscape variances there in that area. The signage, my understanding, the signage is pretty much for wayfinding because of the various computer and automated, people trying to find places. That's why they're looking for the variances for the additional signs, and additional signs on the buildings themselves are certainly not problematic. This is a coordinated review being done with the planning board, so the planning board is handling all of the site planning issues. However, because you are asking for the additional 7% of the lot coverage, I think it's just appropriate that we can offer the comment that you're trying to fit a lot onto this site, but how you fit it and all the, how it's being met is going to be handled by the planning board, okay? We'll let them deal with that. I do understand that the planning board at their last meeting last week did adopt a neg deck, so we do not need to take care of that. But, we're the agency that's holding a public hearing. Huh? They're holding their own, or they did already?
We're on for March 18th.
So how did they already adopt a neg deck? Okay. All right, so any comments or questions from board members?
So we got a lot of variances that we're looking at.
But most of them are signage. Really,
That's what I'm saying.
so the substantial ones for us are eliminating the landscape area, the landscape buffer in the front and on the side yard, and the lot coverage itself. So, and everybody, we've seen that site come in before, and previous applicants have not been able to make the site work because that front area is too tight to have parking spaces, really, for them to function well, for somebody to be able to pull up into the building, be able to pull out, So, I get it, and we certainly want to encourage business in downtown. It doesn't make sense to have vacant properties in downtown Hopewell. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at, is eliminating the landscape buffer.
Eliminating that buffer in the front, that's the same that Anthony's has. The same
Correct.
landscape buffer that he has.
Correct.
And that the empty lot used to be the hot dog place doesn't have. So it'll be similar to that.
And further to the right, as you head toward the church, there's whole plazas that do not have that
Right.
landscape buffer as well.
Right.
So, correct. So any other comments or questions from board members?
I mean, this is a bank site, and I guess I'm assuming that they're going to move from their current location to this new location.
Apparently, they're losing the lease from the current site.
Oh, I see,
So
okay.
they will be moving here.
Excuse me. So the buffer portion is kind of consistent with everything along the whole path.
Except for the two immediate properties, the two immediate to the right both have buffers, but after that, they don't. You can see, there's nothing going.
Yeah, on that side, correct.
Right, so,
I know the issue has always been the parking congestion.
Yes.
There. I think that was the issue the last time this came in front of us.
yeah. They couldn't make the parking work. There just wasn't enough room for people to back out.
Right.
Yeah, but again, on the other hand, people who go to the post office will be very happy because people were parking in the post office and going over to Chase many times. So I've seen it happening. On that little A strip up there. So, I did, as others have done, a site visit. I did a site visit, looked around, and it's a good use of the property, even though it's a very tight fit. But if the planning board finds that it is workable, then
Yeah, they're not likely to have a parking lot full of cars at any one given time anyway, so.
maybe on a Saturday morning or something.
Yeah.
They have limited hours, 9 to 5.
Employees parking.
Pardon me?
The employees parking.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they can park in the back. I think there's enough, there may be spots in the back.
In the rear.
Yeah, in the rear. And but in any event, this site is, in my imagination, bigger than the current site. So if the current site is operational, except for a few times when people are parking on the post office site, this site might work better for the town. So I don't see an issue.
okay. Art or Alberto, any issue?
No, I think it definitely has more space than their current location, so it's, he said it works the current location, it'll work in this location.
All right, so is there anyone here to speak for or against the request from Cormark Hopewell, 793 Route 82 Hopewell, requesting a 7% lot coverage variance, a bunch of signage variances, and a 20-foot variance from the front yard landscaping requirement and a 10-foot variance from the side yard landscaping requirements? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Norma, there's one comment.
Sure.
Sure.
Rocco, when you read this, Main Street, it was formerly known as Route 376.
Where are we saying? Hang on.
Now Main Street.
But it was,
They changed
it's
they
Route
changed the
82.
address
It's Main Street.
from Route 82.
Okay.
So it's now Main Street.
Where are you seeing that?
The address In
Location.
location?
Location, Route
We
82.
wouldn't read that anyway, so.
Right. So what are we saying anyway? This is
Main Street,
Main Street, yeah,
yeah, formerly Route 82.
yeah. Good
You
point.
learn something new every day.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Okay.
I mean, there's Fishkill Avenue further down.
Fishkill Road.
Yeah.
Look here. Appeal number 4130, applicant Core-Mark Hopewell LLC. The project is as follows: a 7% lot coverage variance from the requirements of the scheduled bulk regulations, a 43 square foot variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 of the Town Code for total signage, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 for an additional wall sign, a 43 square foot variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 for total wall signage, a 2-foot wall sign height variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 of the Town Code, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 for 2 additional freestanding signs, a 24-foot variance from the requirements of Section 194-116 of the Town Code for front yard landscaping requirements, and a 10-foot variance from the requirements of Section 194-116 of the Town Code for side yard landscaping requirements. These are all referred to collectively as the variances. The location is 793 Route 82, now called Main Street in Hopewell Junction. You thought I was going to forget that. Whereas, resolution offered by zoning board member Rocco Limatone, whereas this is the property that formerly contained William Tell Hardware. Whereas Chase Bank has applied to the planning board to build a new branch. And whereas the applicant applied to the ZBA, us, to obtain necessary variances. And whereas this is an unlisted action under SECRA, and the zoning board did not object to the planning board serving as legal agency. And whereas the planning board issued a negative declaration at its February 18th, 2025 meeting, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 19th of 2025, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 25 of 25, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variances will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the community, since the surrounding area is commercial, and the proposal is in conformance with the use and bulk of neighboring parcels. The desired result cannot be achieved by other means due to the layout of the property. Some of the variances are indeed substantial, but any visual impacts have been mitigated by the architectural designs proposed by the applicant. The variances will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Core-Mark Hopewell LLC for a 7% lot coverage variance from the requirements of the scheduled bulk regulations, a 43 square foot variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 of the Town Code for total signage, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 for an additional wall sign, a 43 square foot variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 for total wall signage, a 2-foot wall sign height variance from the requirements of Chapter 153 of the Town Code, a variance from the requirements of Section 194-116 of the Town Code for front yard landscaping requirements, and a 10-foot variance from the requirements of Section 194-116 of the Town Code for side yard landscaping requirements. All these are collectively referred to as the variances. Be it further resolved that within 5 days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or the duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Alberto.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries, you guys are all set.
Thank you, and
Now
good
you just
evening.
finish dealing with the planning board. Have a good evening.
Need water after that.
All right, and next on our agenda is item number 4, Appeal 4131, Joseph Manazzi, 29 Thunder Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting an appeal from the zoning administrator's determination of the front yards pursuant to Section 194-14.2 and the local law number 7 of 2022, and the applicant is not here. We knew ahead of time that he was not likely to be here because there was a request to adjourn this. However, because it was noticed for a public hearing, in the event that any neighbors came, we wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to be heard. So, being as there are no neighbors here and the applicant is here, we're not even going to open the public hearing. Should we open it?
It just so it doesn't have to be added.
So it doesn't have to be re-advertised. Okay, so do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a note. Opened.
Open.
Seeing no comments, seeing the applicant is not present, do I have a motion to adjourn
And
the
no
public
neighbors,
hearing?
and no neighbors.
Well, no neighbors here to comment as well. So do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
So moved.
And continue. Are we going to just?
Yeah.
Adjourn and
Yeah,
continue.
we're not closing it. We're going
Correct, yeah, we're just adjourning it.
Adjourning,
until we-
yes.
to next month.
Yes.
So moved from Rocco.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
To the meeting, yes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Bang, bang.
Look at this, before 7:30.
Oh, my God. We forgot about you. He was paying attention.
All right, good.
All right. Well, there you go. That's cool.